When I was a student, I was never the best in class. I failed exams. Many times I wasn't the smartest kid. But I was always curious. I always asked, why not? And that question took me further than any test score. Many students today worry too much about marks. Marks are important, but they are not your future. Your future is what you do when things go wrong. Because trust me, life gives you more failures than exam questions. You fail once, twice, 10 times? Good! Every failure teaches you something your teacher never will. In school, they teach you to memorize answers. But in life, you must solve problems that have no textbook solution. So stop trying to be perfect. Instead, try to be useful. Be someone who listens, who helps, who brings people together. That's how you win. Not by being number one in math, but by being number one in attitude. Some of you dream of getting a job in a big company. That's fine. But remember, even the biggest companies started small. One day, you will graduate. Maybe you don't get your dream job. Maybe you get rejected. Good. Rejection is training. I was rejected from 30 jobs, even KFC. But every rejection made me tougher, stronger. Rejection is not the end. It's the beginning of your real education. You are lucky. You are in a country with the youngest population and biggest dreams. Don't waste that gift. The future doesn't belong to those who score the highest. It belongs to those who understand people, who adapt fast, and who never stop learning. So my advice, improve your soft skills. Learn to speak clearly. Learn to work in teams. Learn to fail fast and recover faster. Learn to respect others, especially those who are different. In the next 10 years, machines will be smarter than humans, but they will never have your heart, your creativity, or your kindness. Work hard, yes, but also work smart. Don't just study to find a job. Study to solve problems, to help your village, your city, your country. If you can think big, act small, and move fast, you don't need to be the best student. You will be the one who creates jobs for the best students. India doesn't need more toppers. It needs dreamers with action. That can be you. If you believe more in yourself than in your mark sheet. When I was young, I was never good at exams. My scores were low. Teachers didn't expect much from me. In fact, in school, I was probably among the worst students. I tried, but the results were never good. I failed the entrance exam for college 3 times. But I never gave up. Because I always believed that marks can only measure your memory. Not your dreams, not your imagination, not your courage. The world doesn't care if you scored 99 in physics. It cares about whether you can solve a problem no one else wants to touch, whether you can bring people together, whether you can stay calm when everything falls apart. That's what creates your future, not numbers on a report card. I've seen students destroy their confidence just because they didn't to the top university or missed a grade by 2 marks. But life doesn't follow your academic record. It follows your mindset. In fact, the most successful people I know were not top students. They were curious. They were flexible. They could fail and bounce back. Because school teaches you to memorize the right answers. Life teaches you to ask the right questions. That's the difference. In school, if you copy from others, it's cheating. But in life, if you can learn from others and build something new, it's called innovation. The way we measure intelligence in classrooms is limited. Life needs many kinds of intelligence: emotional, creative, social, entrepreneurial. You may not shine in exams, but you might shine in the real world where adaptability matters more than accuracy. Many students, especially in countries like India, are under massive pressure to perform academically. Parents compare scores. Society ranks your value based on your grades. But that pressure builds fear. Fear of failure, fear of risk, fear of trying something new. And when you're scared to fail, you're scared to grow. But failure is your teacher. Failure gives you experience. In real life, the people who win are not those who never failed. They are those who failed, learned, adjusted, and kept moving. That is what builds your strength. Not getting every answer right, but being brave enough to admit what you don't know and strong enough to keep improving. If you focus only on grades, you may miss the chance to build other skills that are more important: leadership, creativity, communication, problem solving. The future belongs to people who can work with others, solve unpredictable problems, and keep learning new things. A student who scores 60% but knows how to listen, how to lead, how to stay positive, that student will go further than someone who scores 95% but only knows how to follow instructions. Because in the future, machines will do the calculations, the memorization, the analysis. But machines don't have passion. They don't have empathy. They don't have vision. Those qualities can't be taught by textbooks. They are built by how you think, how you act, how you see the world. I don't mean to say you should stop studying. Of course you must work hard. But don't let marks define your worth. Don't let exams make you feel like you are less. Your mindset is your real power. Your hunger to learn, your ability to adapt, your belief that tomorrow can be better if you try. If you develop a mindset that welcomes mistakes, that embraces uncertainty, that believes in your own potential even when others doubt you, then no failure can stop you. Because in the end, it's not your grades that build your life. It's your growth mindset and your courage and your perseverance through every obstacle you face along the way. When I was young, I didn't know how to write code. I wasn't an engineer. I couldn't build a computer, and I didn't understand algorithms. But I understood people. I understood that if I could gather people who were smarter than me, and if we could work well as a team, we could build something much bigger than what any one person could do alone. In school, we are taught to study alone, solve problems alone, get ranked alone. But in the real world, nothing great is done alone. All great companies are built by teams. All big missions are accomplished by people working together with trust, communication, and a shared goal. You may be brilliant, but if you cannot work with others, you will always be limited by your own two hands. Students often spend years mastering theories, formulaic equations. They learn how to solve problems on paper. But they don't learn how to speak clearly, how to listen with empathy, how to lead a group when things go wrong. They don't learn how to motivate a teammate who's losing hope or how to disagree with respect and not ego. These are not things written in textbooks, but these are the skills that decide whether you grow fast or stay stuck. When you go to a job interview, yes, they may ask about your degree, but what they really want to see is how you think, how you interact, how you solve problems with others. These are soft skills, but they give you a hard advantage. When I started gathering my team for the company, I didn't look for the best students. I looked for people who were hungry to learn, who had good hearts, and who could work together. I looked for people who didn't just want to be the hero, but wanted the team to win. Some of them didn't have fancy degrees. Some didn't speak English well. But they had one powerful skill: they made other people better. And when you have that ability, you become valuable in any organization, in any project, in any country. A student who knows how to inspire others, how to coordinate action, how to share credit, that student becomes a leader, whether or not they wear a title. Communication is not just about speaking English or using big words. It's about being clear. It's about being honest. It's about saying what needs to be said without fear and without hurting others. In the future, more than technical skill, it will be human connection that separates winners from the rest. Machines can calculate, but only humans can connect. A team without trust falls apart. A team without communication moves slowly. A team without leadership gets stuck. And these are the things you must start learning now, not after graduation, not when the job demands it. If you wait until then, it's already late. Build these skills while you are young. Volunteer for team projects. Help someone who's struggling. Try to explain difficult things in simple words. Learn to stand up and speak when you are nervous. Learn to listen even when you think you're right. These are the things that no exam will test, but life will test every day. Leadership is not about giving orders. It's about taking responsibility. It's about being the first to act and the last to complain. It's about seeing the potential in others and helping them see it too. In the future, every student must think like a leader, not because everyone must be a CEO, but because the world needs people who can guide others through change, uncertainty, and crisis. That is the true value you bring to any table, not how well you solved the math problem, but how well you helped others rise with you when the problem was bigger than any one person could handle alone. When you're young, everyone tells you to be successful. They tell you to study hard so you can get a good job, earn more money, buy a house, buy a car, get promoted. But no one tells you to be valuable. And that is the problem. Success is a result, but value is a foundation. If you only chase success, You might get frustrated when things don't go your way. But if you focus on becoming valuable, success will find you, follow you, and stay with you. Being valuable means that wherever you go, people want you there. Not because of your degree, not because of your resume, but because of who you are and what you bring to the table that others can't. There are many people who are smart, but not many people who are helpful. There are many who are skilled, but not many who can be trusted. If you want to stand out in a world full of talent, be someone who solves real problems, not just someone who wants a title. When I started building a company, I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any money. I didn't even know much about the internet, but I wanted to help small businesses in China connect to the world. That was my value. That's why people joined me. That's why investors believed in me. That's why customers trusted us. We didn't promise to be the biggest. We promised to be the most useful. And that made all the difference. Students often ask me what they should learn to be successful. Should I study computer science? Should I go abroad? Should I get an MBA? I say learn to be valuable. That means learning to understand problems deeply. It means learning to care about the customer. It means becoming someone people rely on when things are uncertain. That's more important than any degree. You may be great at coding, but if you don't care about the person using your software, you won't build anything meaningful. You may be great at finance, but if you don't care about fairness, you won't build anything lasting. So don't ask what pays more. Ask what matters more. Being valuable also means being hard to replace. Anyone can memorize facts, follow instructions, or pass exams. But very few people can lead others, inspire action, and turn ideas into results. That's what value looks like. And value comes from habits. It comes from discipline, honesty, creativity, and the ability to take initiative without being told. Start building those habits now. Be the person who shows up early, who finishes the job, who helps others without being asked. Be the person who turns complaints into solutions. Be the person who sees opportunity where others see obstacles. That is how you become valuable. No matter what your marks are, no matter where you come from. Success today moves fast. 1 year you're in, next year you're out. But value lasts. People remember those who made their lives better. They remember the friend who encouraged them when they wanted to quit. They remember the colleague who stepped up when things went wrong. They remember the teammate who gave them credit instead of taking it all. These are the things that make people respect you, trust you, follow you. These are the qualities that build great careers, great businesses, great lives. Too many people wait for success before they start adding value. That's backward. If you want success, start serving, start caring, start doing the little things that others ignore. Don't worry if nobody notices at first. Keep going. Your value will grow. And one day, people will come to you not because you are famous or rich, but because they know that with you, things get better. That is when you know you've become someone the world truly needs. Many young people wait. They wait for the right moment, the perfect idea, the ideal support, the best time to start. They say, let me finish my studies first, or let me get a little more experience, or let me find the right partner. But while they wait, others move. Others try. Others take the risk, make the mistakes, and begin building something. And that's the difference. The people who win are not always the smartest or the most prepared. They are the ones who act. They are the ones who don't wait for opportunity. They create it. If you sit around waiting for someone to give you a chance, you might be waiting your whole life. But if you step forward and start, you give yourself the chance to become the one who gives chances to others. In my early days, there was no clear path. The internet was new. People didn't believe in it. Most of them thought it was a scam. But I believed it could help small businesses grow. So I didn't wait for the government to support me. I didn't wait for experts to approve my plan. I gathered 17 of my friends in my apartment, and we started building. We had no money, no experience. But we had belief. We had action. We started small. We failed many times, but we kept going. And each small step opened a new door. If we had waited for everything to be perfect, we would still be waiting. Nothing was certain, but we acted anyway. Too many students are raised to be afraid of failure. They are told to get everything right, to follow the rules, to take the safe road. But in a fast, changing world, safety is an illusion. What feels safe today might be outdated tomorrow. The real risk is waiting. The real failure is never trying. Every great company you know today was started by people who took action before they were ready. They didn't know all the answers. They just knew they wanted to solve a problem. They knew they couldn't keep waiting for someone else to fix things. So they took the first step, and that step changed everything. Opportunities don't come with a label. They don't come with a clear sign saying, "This is your big chance." They come as small ideas, as strange problems, as things other people ignore. You need to train your mind to see those. You need to build the courage to act on those. If you think too long, if you wait too much, someone else will grab it while you are still planning. Don't be reckless, but don't be frozen either. Think, prepare, but move. Action builds momentum. Momentum creates clarity. Clarity attracts support. That's how you grow. Even if your first step is small, it counts. Maybe it's building a website, starting a blog, selling one product, helping one customer, launching a small project with friends. Don't underestimate small beginnings. All big stories begin that way. The key is not to wait for permission. Nobody will come and say, "Now you're ready." The world rewards those who show up, who try, who push through doubt. If you start early, you fail early. If you fail early, you learn early. If you learn early, you grow early. And in a few years, people will call you lucky. But you'll know it wasn't luck. It was movement. It was not waiting. Every young person has something they can start today. An idea, a project, a habit. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Start where you are, with what you have, and who you are. If you do that, you build courage. And courage is more valuable than any certificate, any degree, or any praise. Because courage is what creates opportunity in a world where everyone else is still waiting for someone to hand it to them. In the next 10 to 20 years, the world will change faster than ever before. Technology is growing so quickly that what you learn today might be outdated tomorrow. The subjects you're studying, the tools you're using, the jobs you're dreaming of. They may all look very different in just a few years. That's why the most important thing a student can do is not just learn what to think, but how to think. Not just what to do, but how to adapt. Intelligence is important, yes. But flexibility, creativity, and emotional strength, these will matter even more. Because no matter how smart you are, if you can't change when the world changes, you'll fall behind. And in a future that's moving this fast, falling behind happens very quickly. When I look at young people today, I see a lot of talent. I see great marks, technical knowledge, strong ambitions. But many still believe that being the smartest person in the room is the goal. They think success means having the right answers. But in the real world, success often depends on asking the right questions. It depends on being able to work with others, understand different cultures, deal with stress, and keep growing when things become uncomfortable. The world doesn't need more people who memorize facts. It needs people who can connect dots that others can't see. People who can imagine new solutions when old ones stop working. And that kind of thinking doesn't come from being the top of your class. It comes from being curious, open-minded, and emotionally strong. In the future, machines will be smarter than most humans at solving problems based on logic, calculation, and speed. But machines will never replace people who know how to dream. They will never replace kindness. They will never replace courage. These are human qualities, and they will become more and more valuable. So if you are spending all your time trying to compete on memorization, on speed, on calculation, you're playing a game that machines are already winning. Instead, learn what they cannot do. Learn how to tell stories. Learn how to care. Learn how to work with others even when they are difficult. Learn how to stay calm when things go wrong. That's what will set you apart, not just in your job, but in your life. A flexible person learns faster than a smart person who is rigid. Because when things change, the flexible person adjusts. The rigid person complains. The flexible person asks, "What can I learn from this?" The rigid person says, "This wasn't supposed to happen." If you want to grow in a world that's always changing, you need to train your mind to be like water, able to flow in any direction, able to fit into any container, able to respond to anything it faces. That flexibility is not weakness. It is strength. It is the strength that allows you to survive in chaos and succeed in unknown situations. Young people must also understand that your emotional intelligence, your ability to manage your emotions, deal with failure, connect with others, is as important as your IQ. You can be very intelligent, but if you panic under pressure, if you argue with your teammates, if you give up after the first setback, then that intelligence becomes useless. The future belongs to people who are emotionally strong, not just mentally fast. You must learn how to handle rejection, how to bounce back after a mistake, how to take criticism without losing your energy. These are not just soft skills. They are life skills. And they are what the best leaders, entrepreneurs, and changemakers are built on. If you want to be ready for the future, don't focus only on being the best in your class. Focus on being the one who can handle the unknown. Be the one who's not afraid to try something new, even if it might not work. Be the one who can smile in a tough situation, who can encourage others when things fall apart, who can see a path when nobody else does. These are the people who lead in the new world, not just because they are the smartest, but because they are the most human,